I'm with Bassel Nahlaoui, the Managing Director of Mobility at Careem and a speaker at the Smart Mobility Conference here at Hypermotion Dubai. Part of a panel discussion on achieving net zero through smart mobility. Bassel, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for
Loaded question here, but how do we do it? How do we achieve net zero through smart mobility?
Yeah, it's not an easy one, but it requires all of us to play a role. Whether it's the technology platform, like a Careem, the manufacturers, like some of the panelists who are sitting with us, representing them, and the government. Because if one party thinks they can do it alone, they'll fail miserably. There's too many obstacles that will get in our way to get there. There is investment, there is customer awareness, and then there's regulations. And so if these three don't move at the same time with the same goal, we'll struggle as an industry to make it happen.
Yeah, and I guess educating the customer is pretty important too, right? About the benefits of net zero and sustainability.
Yeah, I think, and technology can play a big role here, right? The more you integrate different modalities together on a single app, then you have a single interface with the customer to push the key messages. Explain to consumers what the impact of taking a bike to the metro station is versus taking a short car trip. Or an electric vehicle versus a petrol-driven vehicle and so on. So yeah, there's a big role of educating the consumer and telling them what the impact of these decisions are on the rest of the world.
So as the Managing Director of Mobility, what are Careem's plans in terms of future to go to a net zero future?
Yeah, today Careem's focused on mainly when it comes to this specific topic. We're focused on smart mobility, the last mile. That's where you see Careem Bike and the focus on that. Today, most of the traffic is caused because of short distance trips by cars. So we said, let's see, what can we do about the 1 kilometer, 1.5 kilometer trip? And we brought in these pedal assisted bikes, and we've seen a lot of consumers use that for that last mile, whether it's a close trip or a trip to the public transport modes. It's been playing a big role. Of course, outside of that last mile, there's still focus on the cars that drive you further. And there we're working closely with our partners, whether it's the RTA or the limousine companies that actually purchase these cars. And what we're doing is we're educating captains who make that purchasing decision on the benefits of hybrid cars and electric vehicles. You know, in a hybrid vehicle, a captain saves half the petrol cost in a month. That's north of 4,000 dirhams every single month. So the value is massive. So our job is to ensure that we are pushing these messages to the right stakeholders and decision makers.
Exactly, education. And it's quite interesting, you mentioned the e-bikes that you have dotted around Dubai. I guess it's also promoting healthy behavior, exercise, isn't it? People getting outdoors and getting on your bike, getting from A to B. It's part of it, isn't it?
You know, it's a bad habit to always say, I need the car to go everywhere. And somehow, you know, that's what we're stuck with, especially in these parts of the region. Same person, he goes to London for the summer and he's walking 10 kilometers a day. Why? What's the difference? If we have the right infrastructure and the right modes, then it should be easy to make this change among consumers.
How do you balance the net zero future with profitability? Because in a region where we are now, where it's still very much oil dominated, there's still internal combustion engine is still number one, of course, and oil is cheap, petrol is cheap, but at the same time, we want to be more sustainable. We want to contribute to net zero.
Yeah.
How do you balance the two?
Yeah, early on, first of all, R&D will need to continue to bring down these costs. And we've seen that. Putting a battery together 10 years ago was very different from where it is today. That's R&D, and I think the private sector has to play the biggest role in that aspect. Second one should be from regulations, incentives. How do you bring incentives to both the OEMs, but also the consumers, so you can push them to try? Because once they try it, they won't go back most probably. They'll see the impact, they'll see the value of it. And so there's a role for both the private sector and the government to play and allow this to happen. As you heard in the panel, it has to be a PPP approach.
In terms of timelines, when do you think we'll actually reach that point where mobility, transport is completely carbon neutral, it's completely sustainable?
Yeah, I think it's a country by country play. Some countries have the infrastructure, are working on these regulations, are ahead. I take Dubai. Dubai has a very clear ambition by 2030, what they want to achieve. They are rethinking the infrastructure. They're creating incentives. As long as they continue with that path, I think we'll see them maybe ahead of other countries. Exact timelines, I still think we're at least a decade or so away from seeing that completely.
Which I suppose in the grand scheme of things is not too bad. It's not too far away.
No, of course not. And of course, technology innovation will only speed these things up. So if you look at how things are moving in the tech space, we should be able to only speed it up, not slow it down. With the right mindset, of course.
Bassel, thank you very much for being with us. You were at the Smart Mobility Conference here at Hypermotion Dubai. How does it feel to be networking and connecting and reconnecting with your peers again?
It's pretty awesome to be outside, reconnecting with people, and then just seeing like-minded people with the same goals. That's the only way we're going to achieve that future that we're looking for.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me, Gary.